Good evening, creatives. I welcome each and every one of us to today's class, and I must sincerely appreciate our kind gesture and the ability and zeal to want to increase and improve our skill as a designer. We are not going to waste much time waiting for people to join because we want to finish the class by God grace 10:30. It's just a 2-hour session so that we'll be able to cover the whole of the things that we intend to cover in today's class. There won't be time to wait for others to join us. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to share my screen. And once you can see the screen, you can just let me know. Just one person can just unmute his or her mic and let me know once you can see the screen. So can you see the screen now,
You can
please?
you can see.
Okay.
You can see the screen.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we're going to get started from where we stopped yesterday.
Are we
Now,
recording this?
yeah, I'm recording it. Thank you. In our last class, we talked about the concept of branding. So we'll start by looking at the basic of branding by clarifying the misconception between branding, and brand identity. And we made us understand that when they say brand is a set of perception, idea, or feelings that people create around a product or services. So that's what we refer to as brand. So any brand that is able to earn a customer loyalty. So when they are talking about anything that relates to their product or services, they will always be the first thing that they are going to thought of. Just like one of the audience yesterday suggested Toyota out of 100 of car brands or motor brands that we have out there. So the person was able to mention Toyota as the first option. So no doubt, Toyota already earned that person's loyalty, and that's what we refer to as brand. So when we now say branding, it's because people tend to forget something easily, and they really don't know what makes them to fall in love with what they fall in love with. That's what brings about branding. And we said branding is what? It is the things that you do to create awareness or to build reputation for your brand. That's what we refer to as branding. And a lot of people are also doing that same thing that you are doing to create awareness. That is what brings about what? In order for you to stand out and increase your own chance of being noticed, that's what brings about brand identity. And we stated in that class that when you talk about brand identity, it's basically 5 things. Any other thing that you want to bring in is just like support. But the basic 5 things that made up what we call identity, it includes logo, shape, color, typography, and voice. So these 5 things are what we refer to as brand identity. They are what enable people to recognize your brand easily. And we also made mention in that class when we give an example, like when you hear a statement like just do it. So somebody quickly said it in that class. I'm talking about yesterday class. So when I said just do it, immediately the person said he thought about Nike. Are you getting that now? So that's a voice, because Nike message is always about you taking action, encouraging you to take action. And that's why they can easily notice them even from their voice. So we move from there and talk about how we can collect details from clients, that is brand strategy. And we said this collecting details from client can be categorized in 3 ways, which we made mention of the questionnaire. And we said the questionnaire can be used for 2 purposes. One, for you to collect details from a client that is busy. so that you are going to give them time to be able to brainstorm and provide the necessary and the right answer. Or you send this to clients in order for them to see that there are things that they are yet to understand about their business that can let you subject them down to your strategy section, and with that you can increase their budget. So we say those are the two ways or two things that we use what the questionnaire for. I would say there is a discussion way of also collecting brief from clients. I would say even when you set them for that discussion, you are still treating what you have inside your brief, like your questionnaire. That is the same thing that you're also using as a mode of questioning when you are both discussing, but you are presenting it in a manner that they can resonate with. Then we talk about the third one, which is the most important and the most effective one, and that is a brand strategy. And when you talk about brand strategy, it is the most effective way for you. Okay, somebody say they can't hear me again. Okay, sorry, it seems the network trip up before. Can you hear me now? Okay, all right. I'll try to share the screen once the network connect on the system back. So like I was saying, I'm just trying to recap yesterday class so that the class can well set. So we talk about the brand strategy and we said it is the most important and the most effective way of collecting brief from a client. So, and we made mention of 9 things that is very important for us to consider when running a strategy session with a client. And what's the first thing is the brand purpose. That is the reason why they are starting that particular business other than to make money. So, and we cited example for this particular program that we are in, how come it is free. So why we make it free? It's one of the examples that we cited yesterday. So another second thing that you need to consider is your vision, the brand vision. And the third thing is the core value of the brand. And
And
so
so
the fourth
the
thing
fourth
to
thing to
consider is the
consider
target
is the
audience.
target audience.
Sorry, please.
Sorry, please.
All right. So can you hear me now? I'm trying to share my screen now. All right.
Yes, we can hear you, but it seems like there's multiple sounds at the background.
Yeah, I've controlled that. All right. So I'm trying to reshare my screen back. All right. So I believe we can see my screen now, right?
Yes.
So I want to try something now. I'm going to mute the mic I have on the screen now so that you can keep on hearing me. All right. So let's have it like this. Can you hear me clearly now? Uh, uh, all right. So like I was saying, so brand strategy, you are to look for 9 things under brand strategy: the purpose, the vision, the value, the target audience, the market research, the goals, that is awareness goal of the brand, the brand personality, the vision, and the tagline of the brand. So those are the 9 things that are very important for you to come up with under the brand, the strategy section. And we talk about the design contract. So after the client signed the design contract, what is the next thing? So once the client signed the design contract, it means they've agreed to pay you upfront, of which they did by paying you, and you want to start designing now. So how do you start designing? That is what we want to look at today. So I decided to run a fictional strategy session for a traveling agency, like we
like we
can
can
see
see
on
on
the
the
screen.
screen.
So
So
the
the
traveling
traveling
agency,
agency,
their
their
name
name
is
is
Sukun
Sukun
Travel Group.
Travel Group.
I mean, having just like, all right. So the name of the traveling agency is Sukun, like we can see here. It's just a fictional brand.
Your screen is
It's not saying.
your screen. Kindly
Okay,
share your screen again.
okay, I'll show you. Okay. So can we see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
but
Right. We can see it clearly now, right?
yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, we can see it now.
all right. Now, so I decided to run a fictional strategy session for a brand called Sukun Travel Group. So this is a fictional company, but the strategy is something that I run it perfectly. So let me put it like that. And we are going to be working on this brand. So the brand, our customer right now is Sukun, and we run a strategy for them, and this is the result from the strategy session. So their brand core is that is what's it called? The purpose of the brand is to organize New York City visitors experiences so that they can enjoy holiday fully at peace. Vision to be the most curated way of traveling to New York. Then their core value is service. Then when you define the service, all of these are well explained in my book. If you can get it to do a good thing, or probably if you pay if you join the premium class, then you can have access to the book. So all of these, how to get all of these things, is what I've already explained in each of the section of the book. The book is divided into 3 sections, just like you have this in 3 sections also: the brand core, the brand positioning, and the brand persona. So how you're going to get each result is quite there, about 96 pages. So here is the result from the brand, and I think you can see the screen clearly. So you can just read it up. So the core value of the brand is that their services, their passion is to serve others, competency, be informative, peace, a stress-free environment, and brand positioning, busy travelers, that is their target audience now. Under brand positioning, now let me quickly just brief us what all these things are all about. When you say brand core is simply talking about your internal branding. Internal branding, that is that thing that you want to be doing, that is going to affect people that are coming from outside. It's going to, like, okay, somebody said they can't hear me again. Is that true? Hello, can you still hear me, please? Somebody said they can't hear me again. Hello, can you still hear me? I think the network is bad. Reason tí wifi yẹn fi dá nìyẹn, òun ò ní máa kọ́ọ̀tì báyìí, ìgbà tí ó dẹ̀ ti wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ wèrè ẹ̀ báyìí. Báwo kò kàn déédéé connect mọ́ náà ni, kò rí network mọ́ rárá. Okay, so I'm trying to reconnect back, so network is just logging me out this evening. Sorry, please. I believe it's going to get stable now. I just hope so. I'm trying to reshare the screen. All right, so back to what I was saying. I just quickly want to explain what all these things mean briefly. When I say brand core, you are talking about the internal branding of a company. Internal branding, that is what every of the worker, what they should understand about the brand, because everybody that you employ to your company, they must share the same vision. If they don't share the same vision as you, then to come up and achieve the same result or the results you desire, it will be difficult. And that's the essence of this brand core. It helps you to circulate and align your workers with the same vision as what you have. So brand positioning, this is aspect of where you can streamline and structure what you are going to be doing in order to take a certain position in people's mind. Just like what Toyota did that makes Toyota to be in so a lot of people's mind. So even kids, when you ask them to mention cars, they can easily remember Toyota easily. That's brand positioning. That activities that enable them to take a place in people's heart, that's the essence of the brand positioning. Then brand persona is talking about the personality of the brand. So this one is extremely about the personality of the brand. So when it now comes to you designing for a brand, the first thing you want to do is to know how to translate the strategy into design. How to translate strategy into design. You can learn more about this from what's it called? You can buy a book called Putnam. That is, if you really wants to know more about some other aspect of branding, there is a guy called Arix. So I learned everything about strategy from him. And there is this guy also called Putnam. Please, somebody should remind me so that I can drop all of this name on the group so that you can as well take a course from them or learn more about all these things of a thing. It's very, very important you have a good idea about it as a designer. So without wasting much of our time, so let's just move on to the very next one, how to translate this into design. You see, after you get your strategy worksheet, the next thing you want to do is to translate it into design. All those things that you see in one page that looks like swahili, that is, seeing it now, you're like, how does it relate to design? It relates a lot to design because design is more of psychology than art. I know a lot of us, we are like, oh, the whole of the things we are going to be doing tonight is just to be using Illustrator back and front. No, we are going to use Illustrator, but in short, Illustrator is the last thing to use. So, and I want us to pay maximum attention to this. So a lot of designers are still yet to know how to handle a brand identity project in such a way that they are going to come up with an identity that speaks for the brand, not identity that explain what the brand is selling. I am going to see everything here. All of those things that professionals, that experts in the industry, senior colleagues always like tell the beginners, oh, this is how it's supposed to look. All those things look so ambiguous, but I'm going to break it down in tonight's class, and I want us to pay maximum attention to it. So we are looking at 7 things, or let me call it a 7-step in order for you to translate strategy into design. So the first thing is to focus on your target audience. They are the main thing to look at. And when you see that the time that we take in explaining what to look out for, how to examine target audience, is more than the time that we take in every other 6 remaining parts of translating strategy into design. Number 2 is analyze your competitors. So those people that are offering the same service like what you are offering, you need to analyze them very well. So I'll be talking it now like a client comes to meet you now. When you are designing a brand identity for your clients, the first thing you want to consider is their target audience, not what the client is saying, but their target audience. You want to focus on it. You want to examine them very well. Number 2 is to analyze their competitors, those that are in the same industry with them, those that they are offering the same service as them, those that started before them, those that they both started at the same time, those that started after them. So you want to examine those set of people. Then number 3, you want to look at your brand personality. You want to look at the personality of the brand that you are working for. What is the personality of this brand? Because as you are looking at brands, they are also like human beings. If I come to you now, like maybe I come into your DM, there's a way you are going to respond to my message that will make me know that you are accommodating or you are the aggressive type, or you are the type of people that you are the type of person that I can lean on. You mean you are money, you like money, everything you want to offer has to do with money. So I can easily know that by the way you respond to me when I come to your DM. So the same thing goes to personality of a brand. The way a brand send their message out, the way their color appear, the way their logo looks can tell you a lot about the brand. When you look at a brand and they just do their things anyhow, you don't need to go into the brand before you know that they are not organized, they don't have structure. You can easily see it from their external branding. That is how important brand identity is in what in business. So brand personality, your brand is also like human being. So there are some people you always want to hug them and hug them because they smell nice, and there are some people you want to talk to them because you have no choice, but because of the bad odor coming from them, you can't just like finish what you want to say so that I can go. So the same thing goes to what your company also. Then the third thing is to consider your tone of voice. So when I say tone of voice, it means it is a must that you say something. As much as you want to watch what you want to say, you also need to care about how to say it. Are you getting this now? So what you want to say and how you want to say it, that's what we refer to as what? Your tone. And you're going to see how we are going to work on it, so that it's going to bring, you're going to understand what we call the message of a brand. So you can see a lot of job about the progress of any brand. It has to do with the job that the designer has put in place. So when you see, by the time we finish this class, you get to understand reason why you need to charge very high for a brand identity project. So when you hear somebody saying, I charge 500K for brand identity, 200K for brand identity, and you've been looking like, is it more than design? Let's see the work that they put in place before they come up with that. So if you cannot charge that price, it means you are not doing all of these things. That's why you cannot charge that particular price. That's why you are scared of what? Charging that price. So the fifth thing to do is to create a mind map. I have been in a lot of design groups because the early hour of my journey in design, I really want to achieve a lot within my first 1 year. So it makes me to vent into a lot of design groups. It makes me to take a lot of courses from different people just for me to be able to achieve that milestone. And I always see them coming up designers, telling them about mind map. But ever since I've been listening to them, none of them have really like explained in detail what they call mind map. What do they want to mind map? We are going to look at it. That's the fifth thing. Then the sixth thing to do is to what? Develop a mood board. It's very important to develop a mood board. I've always seen designers asking questions like, how will I know the right color to use for this brand? How will I pick color? How will I do this? You don't need to ask all of those questions if you have the right mood board. Like if you create the right mood board, there's no point in you asking all of those questions because the answer is just before you. Then the last thing is to design the brand identity concept. So this is where I made mention of this yesterday when I'm talking about the creative direction so that you want to send to your clients. So this is where it comes in, this seventh part. Now, the most interesting part of this is that all of this process, you must carry your client along. You see, one of the mistakes that we always make now, and you see that you spend a lot of time on a particular project, and at the end of the day, the client rejects it. So the reason why the client rejects it is that the client did not understand how you come up with that result. It is the same thing that happens to you in design groups. You finish designing and you just bring it to the group for critique and correction. You don't do that for logo design. If you do it, people will just be judging you based on what they see. But you see that thing looking like rubbish. You explain the job that you have put in place, how you come about that rubbish look. People will see a lot of sense in it. They will not embrace that logo again. They will not start embracing what? The process behind it. They were like, wow, what a good thought. They will not see that the logo is no longer fine. But the moment you don't put the necessary work in place, what you are going to focus on to judge if your logo is good or not is the aesthetic part of it. And the aesthetic part of it is just secondary. So without wasting any much of our time, out of these 7 things, there are 4 important ones. We have how many things on the board that we have to consider when translating strategy into design? We have 7. 1, focus on the target audience. 2, analyze your competitors. 3, look at your brand personality. 4, consider your tone of voice. 5, create a mind map. 6, develop a mood board. 7, design brand identity concept. Those 7 things, you must put them in place for you to translate strategy into design. How can you translate what's it called, questionnaire into design? Of course, the time will not permit us to look into that. But the way of translating questionnaire into design is quite different from translating strategy into design. There is something we call personality slider. That is what we use in translating questionnaire into design. Of course, I'm going to treat that in the paid class. Of everything will be repeated again in detail. So I beg you, if you can afford the class, don't miss it. So let's go on now. So 4 things that are very important out of this 7 listed stuff is, number 1, your target audience. You can see that it is the first thing that I made mention of again, because you are not designing for the CEO, and you are not designing for yourself, and you are not designing for your design colleague. You are designing for the target audience of that company. That's why it is still the number 1. Number 2 is market analysis. Market analysis is referring to your competitors, the competitors of the brand you are working for. And the 3rd thing is the brand what? Personality. And the last thing to work on is the tone of voice. So without any further ado, let's get started. Focus on your target audience. That's the first thing. In order to translate your strategy into visuals, you need to start with your target audience in mind. There's need for you to have them in mind, because your brand design must resonate with your target audience. Once your brand design is not resonate with your target audience, then you have not designed. In order to translate your strategy into visuals, you need to start with your target audience in mind. I'm still repeating it again for you to know how important it is for you to have them in mind. So what do you need to first of all know about them? Number 1 thing that you need to know about them is their demographic. And number 2 that is very essential is what? Is their psychographic. You see, these 2 things is very important if you want to do the right thing about your target audience. So you need to figure out what kind of problems they have to deal with. What's the problem they are having? You need to know the problem they are having. Because if you don't know the problem they are having, you can't provide what solution to that problem that they are having. You have to know the kind of what the emotion they are going through. If you know the kind of emotion they are going through, then you will be able to what? Put yourself in their shoe. Are you getting this now? Because if you don't know the problem they are facing, and if you know the problem they are facing, but you don't know the emotional stuff attached to that problem, to put yourself in their shoe will be difficult. Are you getting it now? So you might know the solution to their problem, but you might not know how urgent it should be, because you don't know the emotion that attached to it. So based on this information, you then create customer profile to be able to step into their shoe and see what they would like to see. You know, if you put yourself in their shoe, that is when you know what their expectation like. That is what you know, what will make them happy by seeing it. So it's very important. So for Sukun, that is the brand that we are working for. The name is kind of funny. It is Arik that actually provides the name. And I must tell you, if there is a page that you need to visit, then it's going to be Arik page. I'm going to drop the link in the description so that you guys can visit his YouTube page. There is a lot of things to learn about him. It is a brand strategy, a designer that is not well known. People don't really know him. I think he have about 7,000 subscribers, but if they are talking about quality and what 100% content that a designer needs to what needs to consume to become a better designer, then it should be his content. So you guys should not forget to what to check his page. So all the references that we are using in class is led back to him, and I pray God will assist him wherever he is, because it kind of make my teaching easy, and it makes whatever you are learning also concrete. So let's back to class now. We have to give him credit. So back to this. For Sukun, the ideal target audience for our client Sukun is, so we are talking about their target audience now. So let me quickly take you back to the strategy. So if you look at their target audience, let me zoom out so that you can see. Can you see? Busy travelers who value their time and look for help in selecting relevant activities to enjoy what? New York. That's their what? That's their target audience. So let's go on to where we are. We are going to be reverting back to this often and often. So back to this. For Sukun, the ideal target audience for our client Sukun is busy travelers who value their time and look for help in selecting relevant activities to enjoy New York. That's their own target audience. That's the target audience of this brand. So I'm not going to go into detail on how to look for their what demographic, how to look for their psychographic. Of course, I'll be talking about that in the premium class. But after getting their what's it called, their demographic and their psychographic, we are able to they are busy managers that prioritize time and office workers that plan a vacation towards a leave period. So they are generally often super busy and therefore stressed out. So if you look at this set of people, we qualify them with the fact that they don't have time. They are just too busy. They are, by the time they come back at night, they are stressed out. They just want to relax. Then the next day, they are going back. So they need somebody that they can rely on, a brand that they can trust about their details, that they can really give them what they want. So that's just the basic thing about them. So after you've seen that they are the busy type of people that are always stressed out, does that mean that the branding should also look clustered? Because the target audience now, they are the busy type. Should the branding also look busy? That's the question you ask yourself now. This set of people, they are the busy ones. Should we make the branding also to be busy because they are busy? The answer is no. In short, you have to make it opposite. It has to be as simple as possible. It should be something so simple that they can easily go through within some few minutes and understand what it's all about. Either their website, either their blog, either their logo, either any of their brand assets must be simple. Because this set of people, they don't have time. Are we together now? Now, since they are busy and stressed out, they probably need simplistic, clean, legible websites that is what? Easy to navigate and understand it in an instant. So if you build a website that is very difficult to navigate, then it's not for this set of people. If you build a logo that is very difficult for them to understand by looking at it, it's not for them. That's the essence of you looking for their demographic and their what? Psychographics. Are we together now? So if that should be the case, since we can now look at what? We also know that they want to expand their network. Out of our research, we understand that what? They also want to expand their network by meeting people and strengthening their network. Are you getting this now? They want to meet people, talk to people, have conversation with set of people that they can network with. So these are things that we see from all this set of people. So after seeing this, so what's next thing? So we have to see that this can lead us into thinking that the brand needs to look knowledgeable, established, friendly, and trustworthy. You see, because of these characteristics that we have seen about all these target audience, number one, we see that they are the busy type. So we have seen that they need something straightforward. Number two, we see that they are the set of people that they want to increase their net worth. And they also want to do what? They want to strengthen their network. So if you want to strengthen your network, it shouldn't be with what? A mediocre stuff. So it has to be something so knowledgeable, established, friendly, and trustworthy. So that's that about what? About what you need to put in mind. And this is where mind mapping starts from. So you need to have this in mind that any brand, anything that I want to build for this brand, it must be knowledgeable, it must be established, it must be friendly, it must be trustworthy. So have that in mind. So what I do is that I simply draw some insights and highlight keywords that I can use later to fuel my creativity. So that's the essence of this. So you already picked those things in mind, you have them in mind now. That's what we call mind mapping. By the time you start acquiring things about those set of people you are targeting, by the time you start putting it in mind mapping already starts. That is what you are mind mapping. So I've mapped it in my mind, knowledgeable, established, friendly, and trustworthy. So let's see. The second thing that you now want to do, you have been able to examine your target audience now, and you have picked up something about them. So you now need later, you need to look for something that can translate all these things that you are putting in your mind. Maybe it's a color, maybe it is the shape. How you can bring all these things into what? Into real sense. How you can visualize it. How can I visualize knowledge? How can I visualize established? How can I visualize friendly? How can I visualize what? Trustworthy. And when I say visualizing, you can visualize with the shape, you can visualize with color, you can visualize with typography, you can visualize with texture. So we'll move to the next one, which is the second thing, to analyze the competitors. So what do you want to analyze about the competitors? For a lot of beginners, this is where they always fail in their projects. For beginners, when they want to analyze competitors, most of beginners don't know how to analyze competitors. Instead, they copy the competitors. So let's see what we want to look out for in our competitors. So your design must be different from your competition. That's the first thing you should have in mind. So if you want to go and examine your client's competitors, you must have it in mind that anything you want to design must be different from what you want to go and see. The essence of trying to analyze them is to what? Is to build that difference. You don't want to repeat what they've done. You want to see that thing that they've done better. So that you see, okay, this brand, they have good color. You want to go and check what is the sense behind that color. Can you also go in the same direction? Or you need to just adjust something a bit. So you want to examine them so that you know how to build your own your client's brand, so that it can stand out. It's not going to mix up. So we look at our competition and what they do. Because the main goal of brand design is to differentiate and stand out, not to blend in. That's the goal. The goal is to differentiate and do what? Stand out. You are not trying to blend in. So that is why you need to look at your competitors and analyze their aesthetics, but not to copy. Don't copy them. Look at them, analyze their aesthetic very well. They have used this shape. Why do they use this shape? Okay, this. Can I change it? No, if I change it, it's going to change a lot of things. I cannot change it. Okay, is there a way I can manipulate what they have? Because there's some certain thing that it is just like that. You can't change it. It just have to be like that. So if you now encounter such thing that just have to remain the same, then what you need to do next is to see what you can just do to make that thing unique to your client. And that's where creativity is coming into psychology. So again, don't copy. So the last thing you would want to happen is to create something that is too close to your competitors and you end up getting sued. So by the time you went to go and copy somebody's logo, and then you give it to your own clients, give it to your clients, and the owner of the logo now what? See the logo that your client is using it. After they've registered it, they can sue your clients. And he or she will pay for it. If they sue he or she for millions, they have to pay the millions. And you can see that it is their own cost. But because a lot of us, we are in Nigeria, we have not like experienced all of these things before. So it makes us not to understand the gravity of it. Last year, was it last year or last year, a particular church, I think they sued a particular church for designer using a family picture. I get it now. The designer used what? The family picture to design for that particular church. And they sued them for using their picture. So as a designer, you need to know the rules, law that bind. So Bukola, please mute your mic. Thank you. Bukola, please mute your mic. Your mic is not, your mic is on mute. All right, thank you. So let's go on, please. So you have to be careful about all these things. They are very, very essential. The reason why you have not seen somebody come into your house to sue your client is because majority of us, we are still working with that brand that is yet to go globally. And that's why we don't know all these things yet. So let's try to start knowing them and then put them into our habits. So what's the next thing? You also don't want to cause confusion. I'm telling us about the gravity of you copying other people's brand. So when you copy other people's brand, it's either you put your client in trouble of confusion or of being sued, or you put the target audience into what? A state of confusion. How? Because they will not be able to differentiate between your brand and another brand. The brand that you copy and the brand that you design for, they will not be able to differentiate them. And it's even worse if the brand that you copy has inferior products. So that will really what? Affect your own client productivity. So you need to what? You need to really work on that. If you look at what is it called? Under the market, this is the 5th exercise under the brand strategy. So under this brand positioning, this is market research. They have their positioning statement here. It's not advisable for you to list the name of your competitors in your finishing strategy worksheets. But the competitors' names can be named while running the what? The strategy exercise. So of which, while doing that, I did not really name any competitors. But I just pick what? I just pick a generic traveling agency brand as their competitor. But if you are running a strategy for your client, of course, they will name their competitors, and then you can go and examine what those things, what their aesthetic look like, so that it guides you on what you want to produce. So you can check Google, like what I did now. What I did for this brand is that I went to go and check Behance. Going to Behance, I check for traveling agency branding, and I see a lot. And what do I see there? I noted, I'm telling you what I see now when I make research. I noted that Sukun's competitors use shades of blue and make reference to airplane. So in most of their logos that I see on Behance, there is this airplane there. The designers just look for a way of putting airplane in the design. Like in their logo, you always see the symbol of airplane, 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 airplane. And majority of them utilize what? The color blue and black. So that's what I see about all those traveling agency logos. So while I'm working on my client's one, I need to put in mind that this is one of the things I want to avoid. I might not be able to avoid everything 100%, and I can avoid everything 100%, but I have to put it in mind that I need to avoid one or two of these things that I've seen about the competitors. So what's the next thing? I also look at the positioning statement, and especially the part that end benefit, where I find some keywords. So if you look at this positioning statement of our clients under this market, so when you look at this, this is the positioning statement. We have New York City visitors who are busy and confused to experience authentic. Streamline that word, authentic. That's one of the keywords there. Authentic. That's how we pick keywords now. Authentic New York. Unlike other generic travel guides, our solutions are unique. Note that also. Authentic, unique, and customized by local. So this customized, I'm going to pick a word that is synonymous. A word that is synonymous to this. And I'll pick personal. Are you getting it now? Instead of me to pick customized, I'll pick what? Personal. So I have three keywords from this brand positioning statement. 1, authentic. 2, unique. 3, personal. So after having these three words in mind, so what do I want to use them for? It's part of my mind mapping. Are you getting it now? So when you look at these words, authentic, unique, customized, as a designer, you might have some ideas on how to convey that visually. So by these keywords, you as a designer, when you see authentic, when you see unique, when you see customized, you already have in mind on how you can communicate it. When I say something is authentic, how can I communicate authentic in design? I can communicate authenticity in design by using materials without matching them into what? Into fake texture. Showcasing their strength instead of what? Trying to hide their weakness. By doing away with what? Features. By doing away with features that are included only to make the brand appear familiar or desirable, but that otherwise serve no purpose. Let me break this down because it's as if I'm reading. So when you say authenticity, I'm asking myself now as a designer, how do I convey what? Authenticity with design. You get to know that design is not just software. You can say all of the things we have been doing since now, we have not touched any Photoshop or Illustrator. Because these are the main thing that we call design. By God grace, tomorrow, when we are talking about the graphic part, you will understand the correlation between design and graphic. When I say design, you know what they call design. When I say graphic, you know what they call graphic. And rather, you see a lot of people that they are all about graphic. They are not designers. Designer does not necessarily need to know how to use software. Are you getting it now? But a graphic person needs software. So we'll come back to that tomorrow by God's grace. Now, I'm asking myself now because I've seen the three key points there. Authentic, unique, and what? Personal, which I refer to as what? Customized. I'm now asking myself, how can I convey authenticity with design? So number one, I understand that when I say something is authentic, you must not try to match the texture. Like you are trying to cover the sheets. Are you getting it now? You just have to let it be. It has to be vulnerable as much as possible. Are you getting it now? Showcasing their strength instead of trying to cover or hide their weakness. You know, instead of you to try to cover their flaw, start talking about their strengths. Are you getting it now? That makes authenticity to come in. So that's telling me that if I want to make this logo to be authentic, I should avoid anything that will make it appear as a traveling agency. Are we getting this now? That is telling me now that if I want to design this logo, because one of those things that symbolize authenticity is that you must not try to make it familiar. Are you getting this now? You must not try to do what? Make it familiar. You must not try to convince people that it is good. You just have to leave it the way it is. So for that reason, I will not try to let it show like it has to do with traveling or movement. I have to know how I'm going to hide that as much as possible. But I need to what? To showcase the strength. And what's the strength of this? What do you think the strength is going to be? The strength is going to be something that the client, the target audience want to see. That will be the strength. What the target audience want to see. And when we examine the target audience the other time, what do we see about them? We see that what can resonate with them is something that is easily accessible. So that's to tell me that I have to make this logo to be as simple as possible, as memorable as I can. So this is mind mapping. I'm mind mapping things to put in mind now. I get it. You see, I've not put anything down. I didn't write anything. I didn't sketch anything. I'm still making my research and I'm putting down things that I need to put in mind while designing this. These are things that will fuel my creativity when I'm sketching. So I won't just be sketching for sketching's sake. I'll be sketching to do what? To show all of these things that I already see about this brand I'm working on. So when it comes to typography as a designer, we know that by using classic serif font, we have what? We have like three type of what's it called? Three basic classification of what's it called? Three basic classification of typography. We have serif, we have sans serif, and we have what? We have script. Those three, they are the basic. So when you have a classic serif font, you can also use it to showcase what? Authenticity. But in a case, I want to call our attention to something now. And that's why you need to understand a lot of things about this design of a thing, because one rule will cancel another. Now, you see, one of those things I can use to what? Showcase authenticity is to use a classic serif font. But in this case, this particular brand that we are working on is what? The brand is a modern brand. How can we show that this brand is a modern brand by using a serif font? It's not possible, because a serif font is pointing down to what? A traditional brand. So we must know how we can now what characteristics are we now going to look for in a sans serif font, so that we can use it to showcase this authenticity of the thing. So in order for us to look at that, we need to look out and watch out for what? A sans serif font that is silk. When something is sleek, so you want to look at it, it has to be pleasant to what? To eye. So we'll talk about that when we get there. So let's back to this place now. So again, I look for words that would capture some ideas about the brand, so that I can use them later to fuel my creativity. So these are the things that is resulting to mind mapping. Please, are we following? I'm requesting for response now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are. We are.
All right.
Yes, we are with you.
All right. So we can go to the
We are
next
following,
one.
sir.
So that's that about analyzing competitors. So the third thing now is to look at your brand personality. It's very important. And you see, at this point, when we talk about brand personality, a lot of us will just pick that thing on our head. And at the end of the day, you get confused along the line. You just think that you can pick brand personality by thinking that, oh, with the way this brand is going, they are friendly, they are professional, they are this, they are that. If you approach it that way, you get confused. So it's another very important aspect. Your brand design must project the right personality. Your brand design must what? Project the right personality. So you see, a brand is like a person. They have characteristics and traits just like we people do. And I've said this earlier before we start this session. So your brand is like people, like the way people react. Since you look out for in people, for you to make them your friend, for you to rely on them, you also look at those things in brand, either consciously or unconsciously. So you could share, like you can just pick some personality trait like fun. You know, you just die like, oh, this brand has to be fun with the way I see it. It's friendly, it's approachable. So by the time you pick all of these things, what is going to happen at the end of the day is that what? You create a problem for yourself. I get it now, because you are going to what dilute the focus of the target audience, because you don't know, are they friendly, are they fun? There's no between being friendly and being fun. The fact that I'm friendly does not mean that I'm fun. If you stay with me, you know that I'm the like, if there is a word like boringest, like I'm very boring, but I'm friendly. So it means I'm friendly, but I'm not fun. A lot of designers, because you are picking all these things from your head, you don't really know the archetype behind them. You just say, for a friendly brand, they are fun. And before you get to know, you already confuse the target audience. So a better way to define your brand personality is by selecting an archetype mix. You see, archetypal mix is very important if you know how to work, how to choose it. Because they are like a pattern of human behavior that span thousands of years. They are successfully being used in movies, books, branding, of course. So when you talk about this archetypal, it's something derived from human nature, the way human beings behave. I can't really do necessary justification to it here, but you can find it in my book. And if you are less busy, you can just go on Google and read more about what the archetype mix. You're going to see a lot of things to learn there. So for example, for our own brand that we are working on, let's go back to our strategy page. If you look at this, under the brand personnel, so the brand archetype, so the brand personality is that what? The explorer 70% and the sage 30%. We love planned exploration and smart adventure. We hate misinformation and being trapped. So I can't really explain this further because it's one of those things that we have inside the strategy textbook. So, you know, as a brand, you need to, for us to be convinced that you know what you're saying. When you say you like something, you must tell us what you ate. So if you tell us what you like and what you ate, then we now look at the two. If they are not confusing, then we know you know what you are saying. Are you getting it now? So if somebody say, I like noodles. Listen, oh, I like noodles, but I ate steak spaghetti. I don't know. I like noodles, but I ate steak spaghetti. So you know, it's like when you look at noodles, you're talking about spaghetti, indomie, and the likes. So how come you say you like it and at the same time you say you ate it? So by default, you don't really understand what you are saying. Are you getting it now? So under the strategy session, it is structured this way, by you stating what you like and then state what you ate, so that we get to understand that what you are saying is what you understand what you are saying. So for our own clients that we are working for, Sukun, then this is their own brand personality. Now let's see how we can utilize it in our own design. That's what we are much about here. So if you look at this, the archetypal mix for Sukun is 70% explorer as the primary and 30% sage as secondary archetypes. Now, what you now need to do now in the design phase is for you to now like, okay, when they call somebody explorer, what are the characteristics of these people? When they say somebody is a sage, what are their characteristics? You go and check. You know, when they call you sage, somebody who is what? Intelligent. Are you getting this now? Somebody that is authoritative. Somebody that is decisive. Somebody that is factual. You need to understand that now. So it means your brand is authoritative. Your brand is an intelligent brand that has to do with knowledge. You can see I've talked about knowledge from the beginning, and you can see the way it's relating to this now. That's why all the aspects of brand strategy, they just connect to each other. And if you do your job perfectly, you just see that you are getting the same thing, you are in line throughout your work, your research. Because all these things we are doing, we are still on the research stage. So when they are telling you that go and make research, they are not just telling you to go and start looking at people's logo. Because that's what majority do. When I say make research, he started looking for logos up and down. Oh, how does this logo look? How does it? That's not your problem. That's not research. These are what we call research. And if you do it thoroughly, coming up with something happens to one of I always forget their name because they are not Nigerians. I have issue with remembering white people's name like that if I've not been saying it often and often. There's this guy, I think it's Bernard something. Sha. It's very famous on Instagram right now and TikTok. The guy designed a logo in 2014. I think it's 2014. He designed a logo for his wife. Was it 2014 or 2022? I can't remember, Sha. So when he designed the logo, I think it's 2014. He designed the logo for the wife around 2014. Then he now bought a book recently. Logo inspiration book. When he bought the book, he opened to a chapter in that book and he met the logo that he designed for the wife. Exactly the same thing. No difference. Exactly the same. And that logo was designed in 2004. And it's not as if he copied the logo. He has not seen the logo before. He has not seen it before. He designed his own in 2014. And when he bought a book, 2023, he checked the book and found that somebody has designed that exact logo in 2004. And it's not as if he copied. So, do you now know the difference between the logo? The difference is that the one he designed for his wife, he curved the edge a bit. The one in the book, the edge is straight. That's just the difference. Of which, if you don't look at it closely, you can't see it. You just see them from farther, they are the same thing. So, the idea will always coincide. Idea will always coincide. That idea that you have, is either somebody will have it in future, or somebody already have it, or somebody is having it at that same time. But the fact that it is original, it is not as if you copy. There will be something slight that will differentiate you from that recent idea or that old idea. That's the essence of you doing research. So when they say go and do research, is not to go and start copying people's logo. Please. Idea can coincide, but there will always be a slight difference. I believe we understand that. I don't want to nail much on that because, and somebody will want to ask me, how can, because I've always get that question, how can I come up with logo ideas? My recommendation is this. For you to know how to come up with logo ideas, you have to do a lot of iteration. For math students, you understand what they call iteration under calculus. When you are repeating the same thing, until you started getting the same results. You are repeating that same thing. You're at initial stage, you are getting different results. At initial stage, you are getting, until you started getting similar results that you cannot really differentiate between what you've done before and what you just did. So the iteration is becoming what? It's coming to an end. So that is how you can build your logo inspiration. That is how you can improve in your logo sketch. And so on like that. I can't really do more on that in this class. So, but for those that will be in the premium class, we shall talk about that. So let's come back to this piece now. So I take notes on that so I can use this information in design phase to capture the kind of smart and expert look. So I have already put all of these things in mind. So I have what I already put all of this in mind now. So it's part of my mind mapping. So what's the fourth thing? The fourth thing is now to consider your what? Your tone of voice. So this is another what aspect that is very important. Your messaging must be what? Filtered through your tone of voice. You know, somebody that say thank you. It's very important we pay attention to all these things. If I tell you thank you, and I tell you thank you, one shows that I'm not saying that thank you genuinely. And the other one shows that I'm genuinely what? Appreciating you. It is the same thank you. So as a brand, when you are passing out a message, the way the message you are passing out, the way the message appears, it also matters. You can be passing out a good message, But if you are passing it with a wrong tone, they will get it wrongly. Are you getting it now? If you are passing the right message with the wrong tone, you will get it wrongly. Are you getting it now? So because of that, you need to mind as in your message is important, so as the tone that you want to use to what? To pass the message. So these two, you have to consider it in your branding. And how do you do that? Tone of voice is essentially an extension of your personality, and it is set guidelines on how you want to sound to others. Basically, your personality and voice will work together to represent the how your brand message is delivered. So it means now that for you to get the right tone, you need to consider your personality. Are you getting it now? Because it's not only your words, it's not only your tone, it's not that thing that you are saying, it's not just that message. How you say that message also what? Also matter. So are you trying to be funny? Or is the subject approach a more serious? Like, are you the type that wants to what? Approach people with a funny way? Or you just want to be serious? I have a designer, his name is Ardala. He's known for his social media design. He's a funny type of person. If you are serious with your life and Ardala wants to advise you, he's going to start in a funny way. That is just his own way. So, but if you know that this is how this person passes his message, you are not going to what? Lose focus on the importance of what he wants to pass. Even when you check his personal designs, you see it in it. That's personality. That's what? That's is aligning his personality with his tone. So, how do we go about that now? You will be able to use those findings in the design phase, especially when it comes to crafting your message. So, you combining your tone and your personality, it will help you in the design phase so that you'll be able to come up with a message for your brand. Let's take, for example, the brand that we are working on. So, what should be their tone? So, Sukun brand voice is primarily informative and personal. How do we know that their what? Their voice is informative and personal. How do we know? Let's go back to somewhere. This is because they are dealing with busy travelers who value their time and look for help in selecting relevant information. So this set of people they are dealing with, any information that does not concern them, they are not going to read it because they don't have time. Any information or any message that is not informative, I get it now. For example, this set of people, I think it happens to me recently. I registered a student for GCE. And unlike me before that, the only thing I just do is basically to teach physics and mathematics. Register students for JAM, register them for WAEC, register them for GCE. But now, I'm so busy to the extent that I have other things that I'm doing. Whereby, registering students for JAM or WAEC is not part of my activities again. But recently, an old client just called me that she wants to register a student. So, I registered the student very late, the date that the exam wants to close. That was when I registered the student. But because I'm not getting information, the day that they sent me the word that I asked somebody to help me for the GCE timetable was the last day for the paper. Like, that was the last day for GCE exam. That means they've started the GCE for long. Just because of my busy schedule. So this set of people, what we attract them is what? An informative information. And that is what? Personal. That has to do with them. So anytime Sukun wants to pass out a message, it must be informative, and they have to pass it in a way that anybody that is reading it, it will look as if they are talking to the person directly. Do you understand that now? So you can see how the target audience come to influence personality and voice. You know, what's it called? Target audience is the fourth exercise. And personality is the what? The seventh. and voice is the eighth exercise. That is how brand strategy connect with each other. One depend on another. And that's why I tell you that it is the most effective way for you to get what information from your clients. So we need to know how to do it as a designer. It's very important. Once again, the essence why I'm doing all of this research is for me to be able to what? Gather a lot of keywords that I'm going to look for their synonyms to see how I can bring those words to visual. So this is the end of my research. So what's the next thing? I want to create a mind map. How do I create a mind map? I've seen from when we are coming, I have authentic in my mind. I have unique in my mind. I have personal in my mind. Customized, I have it in my mind. I have intelligence in my mind. I have knowledge in my mind. I have to be virtual in my mind. I believe you can relate all of those things with what we are saying. You can see we are breaking those words. So that's what they call mind mapping. Mind mapping is not something that you just pick on air. It is something that comes from the research you made. So the next thing, I'll not be able to go in deep here, because preparing all of these slides is even overwhelming. So I won't be able to go in deeply. But what I do with mind map is that all of those words, I always create a circle just like this. I'm coming. If I can see, okay, let me just do this. Let me just open this strategy worksheet, okay, so that we can see how I always express my mind mapping. So coming so that you can see now. Can you see this now? This is what I use for my mind mapping. Let me zoom out so that I can see clearly. Now, can you see this now? So at this center here, I will have the brand name. So once I put the brand name at this center here, now all those words that are originally like that authentic is directly from the what? From the strategy book. It's not from the research. It's from the strategy workshop. So I'll put those words here. So for this particular one that is here, I'm going to look for 3 synonyms for it. I will have it here. And when I'm picking those synonyms, I will be careful. I'll be picking those synonyms that they have visual representation. You are picking those synonyms that have what? Visual representation. This thing is not something you can just consume once. And that's why we have 3 months to learn this thing. Before I call it a 3-month class, I have break all these things down in a way that you are going to learn them sequentially. It's not something that we are just jam-packing here so that you can just have the value. So I will look for synonyms of, let's say I have authentic here now. I will look for what? Synonyms of authentic that probably has a direct visual representation. I will look for like 3. I will have it here. Unique, I will do the same thing. Customized, I will do the same thing. Are you getting it now? Knowledgeable, I'll do the same thing. Sage, I'll do the same thing. So that is how I'm going to come up with my mind map. So after coming up with that mind map, I'll now like select 3. I'll select 3 out of those things. What will I do with those 3 if I select them? Let's see what I'll do with them. That's those 3 that I select. They are what I'm going to use to do what? To create my mood board. And how do I create the mood board? What I do, I make use of Dreambook. I make use of Behance. I make use of Google. I make use of Pinterest at times. To what? To gather my mood board. So let's say I pick authentic. Like this now. I went on, what's it called? On Behance. And I went to go and search for authentic brand identity. Remember, this is just internet. When you ask internet question, I'm not talking about the AI that we are having now. I'm talking about internet in general now, like Google. when you ask them question, I don't just have it in mind that they will suggest you with what you need and what you don't need, thinking it will answer your question. So remember, when we are doing the research, I already understand what and what I can use to what identify authenticity when I Google it the other time. So when I now search on Behance for authentic brands, I know the kind of brand that has that attribute, and one of them is this. So when you look at this brand logo, let me zoom out so I can see. When you look at this brand logo, you cannot say that this is what they are doing. If you want to guess, yes, you guess that this brand is a tech brand. That's the least you can do. But what they are doing, you cannot tell. Their logo is not in any way talking about that. And when you look at their color look established. Are you getting it now? Their color look what? Established, elegant. So that's why I picked this. Are you seeing it now? You can see the way I select the colors. So will I have problem matching color now? I can't, because I'm already seeing what color ideas. Then I check another brand. So looking at this brand now, I also cannot tell you that this is what they are doing. You get where I'm coming from now? So, and if you look at the way they construct their icon, it's like they are using their brand initial to just construct what? Something to represent them. So, and that is how you create your mood board. So you can see now, the mood board already give me idea of what my logo should look like. So by default, when I'm sketching my logo, I will not think of anything like airplane. I will not think of trying to put car inside it. I will not think of trying to bring somebody that is carrying back for traveling. I will not think about it in my logo now. That's the essence of mood board. And when I want to pick my color, I've seen that this color palette makes sense. This color palette makes sense. I can mix it or go with one. You see now, me picking color becomes simple. Is it the only way we can pick color? Of course, no. Are you getting it now? So because the way you tackled logo that you are collecting brief from strategy is different from the way you tackle the logo that it is questionnaire that you used to what? Collect it. But they will all come and give you the same results. So that's why you need to learn the process of each one. You don't use the process of one to what? To translate the other. Just like you've learned how to what? How to use strategy. How to translate what? Strategy into design now. You also have to learn how to translate questionnaire into design. You also have to learn how to translate discussion into design. So it's very important you note all of this. So what's the next thing after this? The next thing is to pick your pencil. And pick your what? Your sketch pad, if you have one. And if you don't have sketch pad, just like I did today, pick your A4 paper. So when you pick your A4 paper like this, you start sketching. And how do I start sketching? I start sketching by start writing. It's very important you note that. You start sketching by doing what? By start writing. You can see, I just start writing letter S in different ways. And later, I started using what? Now, before I move on, let me quickly give you some ideas about sketching. It's something I can't cover here, but in class, we already have at least like 2 weeks that you're going to use to learn the principle of sketching. And what are those things you want to learn in how to sketch? It's very simple. So you just have to understand what they call sketching. For you to know how to sketch anything, you must first of all understand that anything in life is a shape. Anything in life is what? It's made up of shape. So can you now what? Break down the shape that made up a particular thing. So that's another thing you need to learn. But for me to let it make it simple for you, let me start from letters. In English alphabet, we have 26 alphabets, isn't it? Let's go to Photoshop so that we can write on the screen. Let me just quickly do that because we're running out of time already. So let me just create a simple document that we can use to analyze that. All right. So I believe you can still see the screen. Please, if you can still see the screen, let me know.
Yes, sir, I can see it.
All right, thank you. Now, in English alphabet, we have 26 alphabets. Now, all these alphabets, they are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. And somebody say, why is he writing it? We say we don't know ABC. I know you know it. I just want to be clear. You see all these alphabets, they are categorized into three major classification. You can classify them into what? Three major shapes. One is a square. Two, a rectangle. Four, a circle. I see it now. So these three shapes is what you need to consider if you want to know how to sketch any letter perfectly. What are those letters that are square letters? What are those letters that are rectangular letters? And what are those letters that are what? Circle or round letters. So for square letters, we have letter A is a square letter. Letter M is a square letter. Letter W is a square letter. Those are the square letters. How many are they? 3. Square letters, how many? 3. A, M, and W. Now, what about the rectangular letters? Let's keep them, leave them first. Let's come to round letters, that is the circles. Letter O and letter Q. These are the round letters. What about rectangular letters? Every other letters, they are rectangular. Letter I is rectangular. Letter B is rectangular. C is rectangular. All other letters, aside from A, M, W, O, and what? Q. Aside from those ones, every other ones, they are rectangular letters. So, knowing the shape that I can use to form them make it so easy for me. And you have a basic formula. What's the basic formula? It is what? 5 by 5 for square letters. For rectangular letters, it is what? 3 by 5. For round letters, it is 4 by 5. So you know this very well. And what are these 5 by 5, 3 by 5, 4 by 5? This is what it means. Let me create another layer. Now, if I want to make a sketch of letter A now, I'll draw a line. Sorry, my line is not that straight. So you have this. So here, the first letter, you know, this is 5 by 5. This first one stands for column, and this second one stands for what? Row. So column is vertical, row is horizontal. Don't mind our teachers, it's mistake. They always come to class and say, all of you in this row. You know, all of you in this column. They say, all of you in this row, stand up. So you remember that that place that they are calling row is what? Is column. So column is vertical, row is horizontal. So let's label it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me complete the square that I have here. All right, so do you have this now? So if I want to construct A now, so I already know that it has to be 5 by 5. So I'll come down here. I'll shade here. Let me change the color so that I can see the A clearly. That's right. This time cannot really permit us. So I just want to show us so that we have basic idea of what the sketching should look like. Just tick here. Tick here. So pick your ruler, sketch down to this point, 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 then come to the center, sketch down to this. Now if you close here, it will be too small, so you can just manipulate and just what? Mark it, and you have your letter A sketched. Perfect. So if I've used ruler, this is going to be what? Perfectly sketched. And letter B, you already know that letter B is what? 3 by 5 because it's a rectangular letter in nature. 3 by 5. So, how do we go about that? Okay, let me just create another one. I'm supposed to have created another layer for this A here so that I won't clean up everything now. Let me just quickly redraw this. So, sorry for the rough sketch. The time is no longer. I think what's doing well. So let me just time. Okay. So the rectangular letter. So rectangular letters are, so let me just put up, they are 3 by 5. Now see, this is what? 1, 2, 3. So 3 column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know that my B looks like this. So I'll just come here and make an arc. So I'll come here, I'll make an arc. Then I'll come to the center here. Then I'm going to make an arc like this. And make another arc like this. Then this and this will come here. And this will come here. Then I have here to come down here. Just like this. Let me use another color. I can see what I'm doing clearly. I have this. And I have this. So this center here, mark the center, mark the center, mark the center. And then you can cross this. So this is like you're drawing the letter. I get it now. But knowing how to draw this letter, knowing this formation for this particular letter like this, will make the sketching be something so easy for you to do. So you have what? Letter B now. So the same thing is what I'm going to do for every of what? Every of the rectangular letter. So it is for round letter. So these are what you just need to understand. That's the first thing. The second thing you need to understand after you understand shapes that form a particular object, the next thing is to know how to construct angle. And what are the angles you need? You need to know how to construct 30 degree, 45 degree, 75 degree, 90 degree, and 120 degree. And the last one is what? 60 degree. Why is this so important? Okay, I don't have a compass here, but let me just show you this. Let's say I draw a circle like this. And I want to create what? Hexagon. How will I go about it? I already understand that for the exterior angle of an hexagon, because it's a polygon, that is the angle that is outside the polygon is what? Is 360 degree. And the sum of the angle that is inside the polygon is what? Is given as n, open bracket, n minus 2, multiplied by 180. So this is the sum of the angles that you are going to have inside a polygon. What do they call a polygon? A polygon is what? A shape that has more than two sides. A triangle is a polygon. A square is a polygon. A rectangle is a polygon. And so on like that. So pentagon, hexagon, they are polygon. So their sum is this. Are you getting this now? So if I now create a circle like this, any polygon that you want to draw in life, you can get it in a circle. That's another key for you. And you're going to see any shape you want to get, you can easily get that shape with a circle. You just have to understand it. So let's say the radius that I used to create this, I still maintain it. I'll just use that radius. I'll put my compass here. If I put my compass here, I'll make an arc. So I'll put my compass here again, I'll make another arc. If I put my compass here again, I'll make another arc. And with this, I can draw a regular hexagon. And it's going to what? It's going to equal. So knowing how to do all of this will make your sketching so realistic. But you see, not all teachers have the time to do this, because when you enroll for logo class, aside from Tola Labi's class, I've not seen a logo class that extend for 3 months. What do you want to learn in logo under 1 month? I've made a mistake of such before when I started up. What do you want to learn in logo under 2 months? Branding is something that you need to work. you need to live the process. You have to live it. When I say live it, it has to be part of you. It's not something you learn on that short while and you think it's already there. No, you only gather the information. So that's that about that, and that's what helped us to come up with all of this sketch. And remember, I told you, you have to carry your client along for every of your design phase, right from your research down to your sketch. Now, from all this sketch, which ones will I select? You know, everything looks nice. If you look at this particular one here, this one looks nice also. This S, the way it looks, makes sense. It looks kind of unique. This S is not that really unique, and this one also not really unique. Okay? This one also not really unique, but I think I like this, the way this one looks, but I like this one the most. Are you getting this now? So this one, I like this one the most, and this one. So this. See, out of the whole of the sketching, just 3. So, and if not that, if it is just a client job that I have like 2 weeks, all of these ones might be useless. I might end up not using them. Because I know I will still be able to come up with another one that is very okay than this. Now, what are those things that I'm considering while I was sketching this logo? So that it's going to what? Resonate with what I want to bet. So I'm trying to make sure that I create a part that is what? That can have a sharp edge and at the same time have a curved part. Why sharp edge? Why curved part? A sharp edge because I want to what? I want to communicate the what we refer to as what? Authority. I want to show that this brand is what? Is authoritative in nature. And what are those shapes that has to do with authority? A triangle. What's the characteristics of a triangle? It has what? Sharp what? Vertices. So that's what I'm considering. So, and roundness is what? A circle. A circle is talking about what? Friendliness. It's talking about community. It's talking about connection. So that's what I'm considering to come up with my shape. And that's why the strong one for me is what? Is this one. This particular one. Then this one. Sorry. Then this one. Then this one. So let's move down to vectorization now. So, class, are we following? Can we go to Illustrator now?
Yes.
So,
Sir.
we just go to our Illustrator, open your Adobe Illustrator, just like this. So, if you are opening it for the first time, you are not going to see something like this. So, these ones they are seeing here, there are previous jobs that have opened on Illustrator. I getting it now. So, recent jobs that I did on Illustrator, that's what you are seeing there. So, if you are opening your own for the first time, you won't see anything like this. So, all you just need to do is to click on Create. So when you click on Create, let your artboard be kind of big. Set it to come here. Set your what? Your document name. Sukun logo. Sukun logo. Then the width, that is the pixel. I will not really do a lot of explanation about all these things here. Maybe in our class on Thursday, I'll do explanation about all of this, but just follow up. The width, let it be what? 1920. And the height, let it be what? 1080. And this is the Instagram size. The numbers of artboard, let it be what? 1. Are you getting this now? So if you increase this to 10, it means you are going to have 10 different artboard. And we only increase number of artboard when we want to do presentation of the logo. But now we just want to vectorize it. So what's the next thing? Leave your color mode at RGB, your resolution as 300. Click on what? Create. So once you click on Create, it's going to take you down to what? To the main screen. Are you getting it now? Where you can work. Because your Illustrator has 2 faces. It has what? Your workspace, and it has what? Your landing face. There's a name I always call it. Maybe on Thursday, I'm going to present it the way it's supposed to be. So here now is where we can work. And look at this white space here. That's the canvas that you create. When you want to export, it will only export things that are on this white space. Is that taken out? So what's the next thing to do? The next thing to do is to import this our sketch. So if you sketch on book, use your phone to snap it. When you use your phone to snap it, transfer it to your system just like this, and what? Take it to Illustrator. Drag it to Illustrator like this. If you don't want to drag it, there are other ways in which you can place it into Illustrator. So let me first of all embed this in. So embed in. If you don't want to take it that way, you can go through another process by coming down to File. Once you come down to File, you come to Place. Click on Place. Then you need to go and select the folder that it is. You can see it is here on desktop, day 1, day 2. So you click on it. So once you click on it, this link, uncheck it. The reason why I need to uncheck it is that when I drag it in the other time, I have to go to Property and Embed. So if I don't embed it like that, if I should delete this picture, like now, I've unchecked it now. If I uncheck it and drag it to Illustrator, it's independent of what I have here. But if I don't uncheck it, if I link it and I have it on Illustrator and I now later delete this picture, it will delete on Illustrator also. That's why you should not link it. Is that taken now? But why should I link? You can only link under what? InDesign. You are advised to link in InDesign, because in InDesign, you might be working on a very large project and you might want to change picture. So instead of you scattering what you have done before, just go and change that picture that you linked earlier. We explained that in class better when we are dealing with InDesign. So let's just go on here. So that's just pretty much. Once you click on Place, it's going to allow you to scale it to your side here. So those are the ways in which you can import what's it called, your image into Illustrator. All right. So let's scale this up down to what we can really see clearly. So I want to vectorize this very first one here. So what are you going to do? The next thing to do is to what? Lock this. That is, it's still movable now. You need to lock it in place so that it's not going to be moving around. So how do you do that? Just click on Ctrl 2. Once you click on Ctrl 2, it has locked it. But if you don't want to click on Ctrl 2, you can just come down to what? File. So, sorry, you come down to what? Objects. Are you getting this now? So once you come down to Objects, come down to Lock. Are you getting this now? So you can see the shortcut already pop out. Select what? Selection Ctrl 2. So you select the object you want to lock and you click on Ctrl 2, or you come here and click what? Lock. So I've locked it like this. Do you understand that now? So it's not movable anymore. Now, let's take for instance that this picture that I have here is distracting. Before I lock it, what I'm going to do is that I'll reduce the opacity if it is distracting. So I'll reduce the opacity like this. Can you see? It's faint now. So, but it's not distracting because it's not solid. So I can leave it at 100%. Then I lock it back. Ctrl 2 to lock. So what's the next thing to do? We now want to start using shape. Are you getting this now? So I'll click on a rectangle because this looks like a rectangle. And I'll use this rectangle to map this. So change the fill. This is a fill color now. If you look at this place now, the top one is the fill color, while the one at the bottom is the stroke. What they call stroke. Look at all this line. You can see that I did not shade the inside. These are stroke now. So if I also click on this arrow here, you see it has turned the fill to stroke. You see that there will be a white line now. Can you see the white line? So that's stroke. It has turned the fill to stroke. So you only need stroke here. You don't need what? You don't need fill. So, but let's make the stroke to be black. So make it black. Come to Property. Under Stroke, increase the number to maybe 3. So position is to suit what you have here. I see it now. So just adjust it so that it's going to be the same size as what you have here. So now that I have this now, so what's the next thing? The next thing I can do is that I have to, like, all these shapes that I have here. All these shapes that I have here, I want to see how I'm going to use shape to bring them out. All right. So, this is a round edge here. There's different way in which I can achieve this round edge here, and I think Okay, let me just do it like that. Okay, let me take this down and come to your direct selection tool, and then just once you click on this direct selection tool, the shortcut is just for you to click A on your keyboard. So you see, once you click on it, there is 4 dots that come up from this shape that I created. Just move closer to one of it. You see the curve that is showing. So drag it down. Sorry. Click on the shape again. So click on the 4 edges. So when you select the 4 edges like that, so move it closer and drag. So once you drag like that, you have the top of it what is now round. And you see what I have now. So I have this round part to be exact like what I have here. Are you getting it? So what's the next thing to do? Next thing to do is for me to get my line 2. So my line 2, I'll draw a straight line. So drawing a straight line, the line 2 is still under where you have other shapes like your rectangle, your circle, your polygon. So once you click on the line 2, you can do what? And then what? Rotate it by 45 degrees. Click on your shift, then left click and then rotate. Are you seeing it now? So take it to where you have this line here. So readjust it. Okay. So once we readjust it like that, so what's the next thing to do? So the next thing to do is to duplicate this. Click on Alt and then drag it down. So you have this. Click on Alt again, drag it down. So you have this. Click on Alt again, drag it down. So you have this now. All right. Or better still, let me delete this too. You see, for you to be able to maintain the same gap from here to this place, just copy these 2 lines together. So copy the 2 lines and just drag them down to this place like this. So you'll be able to maintain the same the same distance that way. All right. So if you have this now, what's the next thing to do? The next thing to do right now is for you to get this inner shape. Are you getting it now? So how do we do that? We can do that by creating another rectangle. So but this rectangle that I want to create now, this wideness of it has to be the same thing as the wideness of this one, so that the logo can balance. All right. So I'll pick the rectangle now. We'll just lay it here so that it's going to have the same wideness as this. All right. So once I have that, I'll pick this now to come here. So I'll reduce the size down to this place, and then do the same thing here. All right. So click on your direct selection tool again, then click on the 4 edges. 1, hold shift, 2, 3, and then 4. So if you don't hold shift, once you click on this one and you click on this, so this one will cancel the one you clicked earlier. You have to hold shift so that it's going to what? Click everything together, then you drag. So now you have this. All right. So what's the next thing to do now? So the next thing to do now is to select all. But before you select all, this what is it called? Picture is becoming distracting. So let me unlock it by clicking on Control Alt 2. Control Alt 2 to unlock, so that I want to reduce the opacity now. I need to reduce the opacity so that you can just see the line only. So Control 2 to lock it back. Okay, Control 2 to lock it back. So you can see the stuff that I drew clearly now, right? So once you have this, what's the next thing to do after selecting this? So the next thing you want to do is to pick your shape builder tool. Are we following? So when you pick your shape builder tool, activate it. Then I like giving it a fill color. Just double click on this fill color and pick a light gray. So when you pick it like that, so this part has to be solid. So I'll take it down to this place like this. Can you see this now? So I have that field. Then from here, I'll have this to this place. Can you see that? And here to this place. So then I will click on Alt. So once we click on Alt, all these parts that we don't need, we cut it out. So I will explain how to use Shape Builder to very well later. So click on Alt and then do this. So you have eliminate those parts. So the parts that you need is just what? Is just this part that is solid in nature. So what do you do next? Click on the selection tool. This is the selection tool. So once you click on it, you deactivate, then just select the shape, copy it, then that is click on Alt. Just copy it out. So you have this now. So you can see what we sketch is what we have outside now. Can you see that now? So what do I want to do next? I would like to copy these two together. I will need it later in my presentation. So let me just look for somewhere to keep this. All right. So let's move on. Control 0. So what's the next one that we want to get? The next one that we want to get. I believe everybody is following. Are we following?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll try and drop this. I'll try and drop this sketch in the class so that
10:19.
okay. Okay, the time is against us already. Okay, I get that. Let's just quickly vectorize one more so that we can just write the name and do little presentation so that we can call it a day on brand identity. And I'll do the full presentation of this logo and send the link to the group so that you guys can just see what the endpoint looks like. Now, what's the next one that I want to sketch, that I want to vectorize rather? Okay. Okay, we have this one here also, this particular one. So we also want to vectorize this. So how do we go about it? We can also do the same thing just like we did earlier. So Control 2 to lock it back. So zoom out so that I can see it clearly. Okay. So I have this now. So create a rectangle again. You can also get this with a rectangle. And that's why you can see that I'm using, it's easy for me to use rectangle because I understand that S is what? Is a rectangular in nature. Are you getting that now? So those are the things that you really need to just understand about shapes. And once you get that fact, you're good to go. All right. So what's the next thing to do? I think the first thing I'm going to do right there is to click on my shape builder tool again. Click on this and hold shift and click on this. So drag this down. Sorry. So just click this. So drag it down like this. Okay, so can you see now? I'm getting the shape right. Okay, so let me just increase the what's it called? The stroke. So maybe something like yeah. All right, so I have this now. So what's the next thing to do? The next thing to do is for me to get the inner part. I already get the outer part. So for us to get that also, it's pretty much simple. So what we just need to do is to create another rectangle. Let's see if that can work. Can create another rectangle. Okay. So creating another rectangle, what will I do to that? Click on my shape, my direct selection tool again, and activate this only, and drag it down like so. When you drag it down like that, sorry, when you drag it down like that, let's take it closer to this. Okay, so I will need to take it out again. Okay, so I have this now. I can take this one down. Sorry, the wrong. Okay, click on this. That's okay. So I have this now, and I think this is cool. So what's the next thing to do? I can duplicate this. and rotate it so that I can use this to fill this place. So click on this. So once you click on it like that, Control C, then Control V. So rotate it. I'm holding Shift to rotate it at an angle of 45 degrees at every instance. So I have this now. Okay, so if I have this, okay, perfectly sweet. So let me just pick this and then just click on this anchor point. Take it up. Yeah, press this. Down a bit more. Okay, so there's a section for the software so that we are going to learn all of this. It's pretty much simple to use. So the next thing is for us to get the center here. So place this here and then take this one down to this point here. And you're done with the logo. So select everything together and pick your what shape builder to give it a fill color. So just pick something light. Okay. So press this down like this, like this, like this. Okay. So what's the next thing? Click on Alt and minus this. Sorry. Oh, so there's a mistake somewhere there. Okay. Sorry, I'll fix that now. So minus. Okay, let me just quickly fix that so that it won't waste much of our time. So let me just extend this out so that it's going to be independent of that side. So another thing I can just do to play safe is just for me to like expand it. Let me just expand my shape builder to then connect these points together like this. Then click on Alt, start this. So the reason why I expand it is that even if that particular mistake still persists, like maybe they are overlapping on each other, I can just cut them independently. Right. Alt. Right. So do this, so that the negative sign will show that all those sides that you don't need, you can easily do what eliminate them. And you can as well use circle to do all of those things that we did instead of using a rectangle. So you can also use circle, but I don't think the time will permit us to show that. Okay, so let's just perfect everything. Okay. And I think maybe like I should do more experiments with this, but I think I'll do that and you can just see the result later. Yeah, so what next? So we'll just copy this. Okay, so we're done now. Can now vectorize. So let me just complete this one and forget about every other one. So you can vectorize everything as much as you can, but you can see the way we have been able to get it now. That's just how to go about it. So for all these ones with circle, just draw a circle and just place on it, and then you are good to go. So let me delete this. All right, so take this one back to the board. This is the one we want to work on now. So take this, remove the fill, the stroke color, and increase the size of this. So this is what's it called now? This is the icon now for the brand. Are you getting this now? So, and you can see the sharp edge standing to show what that authoritative. And when you see this horizontal line, can you guys see me, please? I was explaining horizontal line yesterday. We have just 2 minutes more. I was explaining horizontal line yesterday when I was talking about line and shapes. When you have horizontal line, it shows what dynamism, and you can see dynamism in the sense as what they are in motion, progression. So, and this is a very good thing for a traveling brand. Are you getting this now? The curved edge represents what friendliness, and the sharp edge it represents what the authority of the brand. So you can see how we are able to showcase that. So what's the next thing to do now? The next thing is to pick typography. All right, so let's write the brand name now. Sukun. Okay. Now there are a lot of theory to look and consider here when you are picking typography. Why should your typography be all capital? Why should your typography be what? Small letter, all small letter, or mix? What should be the tracking of your typography? All those tracking and the like. Your thin typography, thick typography, all of those things, they have rules. But those rules are not just what we can conclude in this class. So let me just look for a typography that I think it should work perfect for the logo. So let's think of Helvetica. Okay, Helvetica dense. Okay, so let me just speak this out. It is an option. Let me see if I have a light. Okay, no. Okay, it's an option for us. So let me duplicate this and check for another one. Let's check Bibas. Bibas. Okay, is another option. So here now, let me just fast track it and just make use of Bibas, because why am I using Bibas is that when you look at the icon, the icon is a bit stretch. So if I pick a typography that is not as stretched as the icon, they are not going to fit better. So you need to consider your icon so that the kind of typography you are choosing will go in line with the kind of icon that you have. It's very, very important. Are you getting it? I can decide to bend this icon like this and see what it's going to look like. And that was how crazy identity can be. Coming. So I take the icon like this. So let me just take it to be positive. So that it's going to be, if I have it like this, the icon stand like this. This is the group of company, traveling group. So does this make sense? So I can just do a lot of variation here just to come up with something that's work fine for me. So I can spend as much as I want. So this logo project is not something that you just do once and you just conclude that, oh, it's fine, that's good to go. No, you can just vary and then you get to see a lot of ways in which you can get what. So I can have this like this, and it also have a very good meaning because this is showing what a progression. So, and why that place, let it be this way. Let's have it here. All right, so pointing towards the positive side. So this is better, and it's awesome, guys. What do you see to this icon like this? What do you see to it like this compared to when it was straight? I'm asking now. Is anybody there?
Well, no, in the progression part, when you turn it to the positive side, I think it's better. They even depict an aspect of the brand itself.
Okay, the way it is like this now, right?
Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay. And any other opinion?
The slanting one looks like Emilokan.
That's another aspect. So, I think it just so that's one thing about brand identity. And if we have time, by the time we start exploring, trying to vectorize all of those other ones, we are going to see a lot of ones that we can also come up with. Let me just give this one in color, and we could entertain questions. Then we can call it a day for today's class. So let me just give it some little color that it make more sense. So I'll create a rectangle now. I'll create a rectangle and then just have the rectangle on this. And then I'll go and pick one of the color that we have on the mood board on that side. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I have this and then pick this. Okay. So let's have this. This. Then have this. The white. Okay. That is eyedropper too. So not really doing justice to any all of this. Okay, sorry, Emmanuel, it seems your mic is on, so you can help us to off it. Thank you. All right, so I can just think of another font to combine with this Helvetica or still Helvetica to write travel group. Okay, so let me increase the size. So I'll change the typography now to maybe just ordinary Helvetica. Vertical. So I'll pick medium or light. So let me pick light. Then use the size. Okay, so the white color again. Then increase the tracking. Increase the tracking a bit. Right? So let me increase the size of this. Centralize this. Right? So, everything. Okay. So here is our identity. Our logo is so you can start having different variations of it. So I can now take our questions now on this. I think this is not balanced enough. Yeah. All right. So let's take our questions now because it's very, very late already. Okay. So I'll stop the recording now so that I can take questions. So questions.